Hello student, in this video I am going to discuss about requirement determinations. Actually, to design a system or information system, we need to find what are the requirements in that system. So to find out or how to find out those requirements is required to study. We need to study that process. Then only we can know how can we arrange those requirements according to our need. So these are the objectives to learn. We need to know how to create a requirement definition. We need to know the various requirement analysis techniques. We need to use each requirement analysis techniques. Like we need to use or we need to know how to gather requirements using interviews, observation, document analysis, questionnaires, ZAD session. Actually, few of them we have already discussed. Few of them we already discussed in case of fact finding techniques. But let's try to learn it again with respect to requirement analysis. The system development process transforms the existing system into proposed system. So to determine the requirements, we need to find out, suppose the single most critical step of the entire SDLC means software development life cycle. We'll discuss every steps of software development life cycle in upcoming videos, but it is the most critical step to find out the requirements of the system. Like suppose you want to develop a system, what type of computer you will need, what type of programming environment you will need, what type of server you will need, what type of data set you will need, what type of data you will need, what type of other requirements you will need. That needs to be find out according to your system. And changes can be made easily in this stage. So to determine that requirements and to do this thing at this initial and critical step of software development life cycle, so that we can make the changes easily. Most like more than 50% system failures are due to the problems with requirements. Point is that if your requirement analysis is not good, then your system will fail, and most or you can say more than 50% of system fails due to this problem. The iterative process of OOSAD is effective because small batches of requirements can be identified and implemented incrementally, and system will evolve over time. But what is OOSAD? OOSAD means actually it's pointed out at object-oriented analysis, object-oriented system analysis and design. So in this case, in case of if we try to build the object oriented system analysis and design, and during every iterative process, if we create like small batches of requirements can be identified and implemented incrementally, means that requirements will be identified incrementally and it will be implemented incrementally, and that will be in a small batches, and thus the system will evolve over time. So this is another way to find out the requirements. So what is the purpose to find out the requirements? To convert high level business requirements into detailed requirements that can be used as inputs for creating models. Because using this requirement analysis, we can design the models, and that can be very useful inputs during the creation of the models. Now, what is a requirement? So, a statement of what the system must do or a characteristics it must have will later evolve into a technical description of how the system will implement it. So, point is that what is requirement? So, to answer that point, what is requirement? Requirement is that system, the need of the system. We can say the need of the system, which will be required at very different stages of the development. And there are two types of requirements: functional, which is relates to a process or data, or non-functional, relates to performance or usability. Functional and non-functional requirements listed in the outline format may be prioritized, because depending upon the priority also we can deploy those requirements. Provides information needed in subsequent workflows. It means that through this definition, requirement definition, we know that at what stages of the development of the system those information will be added or useful, or those requirements can be inherited in the system. And also, these requirements defines the scope of the system. It means how much the system work, till how much it will work, or how it will vary, or how it will deploy, or how the user will get benefited, or how the user will get used to the system, like that. It defines the whole scope of the system. So there are lots of non-functional requirements and there are lots of functional requirements. Like here you can see in non-functional requirements, it might be operational requirements, performance requirements, security requirements, cultural and political requirements, and those things we always study before the developing of the information system. We always try to study operational feasibility. Actually, that feasibility comes with these requirements. Actually, how your system will meet those requirements and how the performance will meet the desired level, and how your application or system will satisfy the security level. In that way we try to find out the requirements, and also we try to find out the analysis, because these all things we are studying in this whole course is about how the analyst looks, or how the analyst analyzes the system. Because if we want to go for operational requirements, the system will operate in Windows environment. Suppose the system should be able to connect printers wirelessly. Suppose these are the examples. The system should be automatically backup at end of each day. So these are the requirements as a operational, but these are non-functional. Okay, or maybe like the system will store new appointment in 2 seconds or less, or the system will retrieve daily appointment schedule in 2 seconds or less. Those are related to performance, but these are few examples. There might be other examples with respect to other different type of systems also. So these are types of non-functional requirements. Those and these needs to be studied before developing the system. And there are functional requirements also, like manage appointments, produce schedule, record doctor ability. These are actually types or few examples of functional requirements. With respect to different types of system, this will vary, or the examples will vary. Just to give a thought about what is functional requirements, what is non-functional requirements, you can go through this. Okay. To determine the requirements, we have to adopt some strategies. Strategies for problem analysis. And also we need to collaborate all the business front and IT front or personals in the system that is collaborating with. So our strategies would be like this. We need to analyze the root cause for every requirement. Root cause, that we need to analyze the duration of the system, of the requirement, of the work, and how the requirement will work, and what time that requirement will need. Like that, we need to analyze the duration. Activity based costing means we need to find out, or we need to analyze that cost for every activity associated with every stage of the system development. Outcome analysis, technology analysis, activity elimination. You might eliminate some activity also during the development phases. So you need to find out those things and you need to analyze those things while strategizing for or determining the requirements. Requirements are based determined by system analysis and business people together. So try to focus on this point. Techniques for identifying requirements are like we can do interviews, questionnaires, observation, or we might adopt joint application development, or we can adopt for document analysis the document we have regarding the project, regarding the system, regarding the information system that we are going to develop. Those documents you can analyze, and those things, these techniques can be not only by system analysis but also along with the business people. So first you need to determine the types of functional and non-functional requirements that is applicable to your own project. So you need to find out those things first. You need to determine those things first. Then use requirement gathering techniques to collect details. So here requirements means also you can say that fact gathering techniques to collect details. The fact gathering techniques we have discussed previously. So you need to use those techniques to collect details. Analyzed work with users. So here system analysts work with users to verify. Okay, we have mentioned that term verify in previous video, that how can we use those details information and how we need to verify those. We need to verify those, we need to sense or prioritize each requirement. Continue this process through analysis of workflow, but be careful of scope creep. Point is that we need to be inside the boundary of the scope of our system. Okay, requirements that meet a need but are not within the current scope can be added to a list of future enhancements. So here you can see if some requirements or if some information are not within the current scope of your system, and that can be added in a list, separate list, as like future enhancements. There are some problems during this phase of requirement determination. Analysts may not have access to the correct users. It means they may not interview the correct users, or they may not find the information from the correct users. Requirements specification may be inadequate. Okay, specification may be inadequate. Some requirements may not be known in the beginning, because as the evolvement of the process or development during the development phases of the system, of the information system, those requirements might change, and verifying and validating requirements can be also difficult. So suppose this is the strategies we have discussed in previous few slides. Like we need to analyze the problem, we need to ask users to identify problems with the current system, we need to ask users how they would solve these problems, good for improving efficiency or ease of use, because we need to develop such a system which should be ease of use or which should provide good efficiency. And to know these things we need to know the problem. So that is why we need to analyze the problem with the um, with respect to current system. Okay, we need to use the users, we need to ask the users how they would solve these problems. So using various techniques, we need to analyze the problem. Then we need to find the root cause. Focus is on the cause of the problem, not its solution. Okay, that is very important. To develop a system, to develop an information system, we need to go for finding out the root cause of the problem, not directly on the solution. Create a prioritized list of problems. Means there might be sub problems associated with your main problem, and you need to prioritize which need to be solved at first, which need to be solved at last. In that way, you need to prioritize your problems and try to determine their causes. Like if you make a list of sub problems, you need to make or need to find out their causes also. Once the causes are known, solutions can be developed. So in that way, you need to find out the duration of your analysis. Determine the time required to complete each step in a business process. Compare this to total time required for entire process. We have to compare this. Large differences suggest problems that might be solved by integrating some steps together. Means some parts of your system development phases you might integrate it in one step. Okay, integrate some steps in one step, or performing some steps simultaneously in parallel. So these are the things which needs to be analyzed to find out the duration of your project. Okay, because time is also a requirement thing. Now we need to find out activity based costing also. Same as duration analysis, we need to find out the cost of your application. Informal benchmarking, analyze the similar processes in other successful organizations. So here you can see is that like you need to analyze the existing system, analyze similar processes in other successful organizations. You need to analyze the outcome also. What does the customer want in the end? That is the question you need to find out. Technology analysis, apply new technologies to business process, identify benefits. Means you need to adopt some new technologies to meet the desired level of user, and you need to identify the benefits of the new technologies. In that way, you need to analyze the technology. Activity elimination, some activity you can eliminate each activity in a business process in a force fit exercise. Okay, so which technique to use to find the requirements? We have discussed few techniques previously in case of fact finding techniques. Those are almost same. Okay, but we will try to go through this one, joint application development. We have gone through this in the previous video. Okay, this is a view of the interviewing strategy. Okay, top down or bottom up. This is high level, very general questions. This is medium level, moderately specific. This is low level, very specific to your system. In that way, you can arrange your interviewing question. Okay, there might be lots of other techniques like post interview, pre-interview verification. We're going to try to understand what is joint application development in this video. Joint user analyst meeting hosted by a facilitator. 10 to 20 users you need, 1 to 2 scribes as needed to record the session. So here 1 or 2 people needed to record the session. 10 to 20 users is required, usually in a specially prepared room. Meetings can be held electronically and anonymously. Means you need to store the records of this meeting, and in those meetings, in those records, there should not be any name of the person or details of the person. It should be anonymous. To reduce the problems in group settings, can be held remotely. Okay, so that would create more anonymous situation. Sessions require careful planning to be successful. Users may need to bring documents as per or user manuals as per requirements. Ground rules should be established. Okay, so these are this way you can hold a meeting with the users to know the requirements of your system. So that is called joint application development. Joint application means you are creating a user analyze meeting. Here will be analyzed and here will be user, and user and analyzed will togetherly create that environment to find out the requirements of your system. Using questionnaires also you can find out the requirements. Okay, so it is also important how you set the questionnaires. We have discussed the types and techniques, that how we can develop the questionnaires in previous video, and also what are drawbacks or what are the advantages of questionnaire. You can go through document analysis also. You can go through observation also to find out the requirements, and also you can combine few or all of these techniques as a whole to find out the requirements. Like document analysis and observation require little training. Z sessions means joint application development session can be carried out, and which can be very challenging. Like here you can see, this is a table: interviews, joint application design, okay, questionnaire, document analysis, observation, type of information, what you will gather in this way. Interview is as is or improvements to be, or as is improvements to be, as is improvements. Okay, depth of information it might be high in interview, depth of information might be high in joint application design, high, questionnaires might be medium, document analysis low, observation also low. So in that way you can find through this chart how this can be effective with different kind of scenario. There might be alternative techniques also. Okay, here the system proposal combines all materials created in planning and analysis, includes sections like executive summary, system request, the work plan, feasibility analysis, requirement definition, current models of the system expected to evolve with time. So as a whole, so there are lots of techniques available which you can use to find out the requirements. Okay, and why requirements analysis is very important to develop a system, an information system. Okay, and try to go through the materials and try to go through the book also. If you have any doubt, please let me know, and I think you might have some doubt, and that is why you try to go through these materials, through the books also, through this slide that I'll provide to Google Classroom, and please let me know. We'll try to resolve that matter over Google Meet.